Hello everybody, this is Danny
and Wanda
from Deep South Homestead on our path to financial freedom. We have talked to you about, what's our third series we've already done? 3?
Yes, and we're up to the teenage years.
Well, we're up to the high school years of teenage life.
Dating, school,
choices in life,
job,
where you want to head in life.
Friends.
I'm going to say probably one of the more difficult times in a person's life, because at this point in life, when you're in, like, let's say high school, when you're in high school, the decisions you make there will affect you for the rest of your life. When I went into high school, the first thing they told us was you have to have so many credits before you can graduate. And, knowing that, in my mentality, I was like, wow. When I graduated, we only had to have 17 credits.
And we had to have 18.
So immediately, when I went into the 9th grade, which was high school, I immediately started taking, you just got to know my way of thinking, I immediately took 6 classes right off the bat. I didn't have any study halls, any PEs or anything like that. I just took 6 classes in my 9th grade. And as a result, it was a burden and it was a load, but I had a plan and I had a goal in mind, because after I finished my 9th grade year and going into the 10th grade, I did the same exact thing again. I went ahead and I loaded up with 6 more credits. No study halls, no PEs or nothing like that, and made it through the 10th grade. To be honest with you, I almost failed algebra, but a lot of it had to do with my teacher, because once we got rid of that teacher, she was expecting, they brought a new teacher in, and then my grades went way up. But when I went from the 10th grade to the 11th grade, in the 11th grade, I only needed 5 credits to be able to graduate. So what I did was I took 3 and I went to college the other half of the day in the 11th grade. I would leave my school and drive to the junior college, and I took auto mechanics there for a whole year. In the 12th grade, I went to school a half a day. I took 3 more credits, which is more than enough to help me graduate. And I went to work for a Chevrolet company in our local town. I went to work as a mechanic for them because I'd been to college the year before to be a mechanic. I worked for them for half a year in the mechanic department, and then I decided I wanted to do body work because it looked really interesting to me, because I was all into doing automobiles and painting and stuff like that. So I moved down to the body shop. I learned how to do professional body work. I learned how to paint automobiles and stuff like that. And that was something that I would carry over into my adult life, because I wanted to have different skills that I learned.
Well, my high school was a little different. We had, I think I had 5 or 6 classes a day. I can't remember exactly. But I took the full course load, but I took the advanced classes, or some of the advanced classes, where several of my friends were doing writing skills 4 and 5, and I took comp, basic comp 2, algebra, where they were taking math 4 or something. I was taking algebra. So they put me in higher classes in the 9th grade. I was in classes with 12th graders. And so there was a push, I guess, for education there for me. And I didn't have that much trouble studying, so classes were reasonably easy. The only thing I nearly failed was art, because I'm not real. I almost had an F in art.
Oh, wow.
But
I excelled in art.
Now, art was not my strong suit, but, high school wasn't that bad. But like Danny, I also, by the 12th grade, had enough credits that I could go to work half a day. And so I would go to school the first part of the day, leave at lunch, and work the rest of the day. And my job then, I was working in a store called Gibson's. And I spent the rest of the afternoon into early evening at Gibson's working. Yeah. And during that time, I guess probably one of the hardest things was dating. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't date until, well, I started dating at 15 and just had a steady boyfriend from 15 to 16. But when I turned 17, we broke up. I ended up not really dating anybody, just kind of hanging with a bunch of friends for a little while. And then someone set me up on a blind date, and I thought I was in love.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I was also working. I was also going to school. I was still in high school. So at 17, here I am thinking of getting married. At Christmas, I was going to graduate in May. I wanted to get married at Christmas. And we just really, you know, were pushing the envelope that year. And nobody could tell us anything. Hey, when you're that age, you know everything.
You know everything when you're that
and
age.
Everything changed the first of the year. We didn't get married at Christmas. We decided to wait until we were out of high school, or until I was out of high school. He was already out of high school. And the next month, everything changed. I became a pregnant teenager. And my whole life changed big time. I wanted to get married. I wanted to raise my child. I wasn't interested in college. I wasn't interested in finishing high school or anything. But I finally decided to go ahead and finish high school. We got married, and so I was pregnant, married, in high school, and still working at a job. I finally give up my job and finished high school, and I ended up a mom a few months later.
Dating was it's kind of a challenging time in a person's life. It can be. I dated multiple ladies. I had a goal in mind. My goal was, when I got out of school, I was going to do what I wanted to do for the first year. I was not going to be married. I wasn't doing anything. And as soon as I graduated, the military came after me and wanted me bad. And I had already, from the age of about 16 years old, I had been training because I had a goal in life. I wanted to be a Navy SEAL. That was my goal. And I would train daily. Even though I wasn't in any kind of regiment or something, it's just something I did. I would run. I would get as physically fit as I possibly could get. The Navy recruiter came after me, and he said, "We really want you with your mechanicking background." Because I had diesel mechanic backgrounds, and they were really looking for a guy on a naval destroyer. And I told him, I said, the only way I would join the Navy is if I can try out to be a Navy SEAL. And he told me, he said, "Look, whatever you want." And of course, that's what the recruiters do. They promise you the world. And he said,
being young,
and I was naive, gung ho. You know, I was one of those kind. I could run 10 miles. I never got tired. I could just run forever, you know, and do things. And I was so intrigued with being able to live the dream I always wanted to live. And then the Navy recruiter told me, he said, "Well, give me time to go get your paperwork filled out, and we're going to get you set up to take a test and see how you test, so I'll know what you're capable of." And I waited for several weeks, and one day he showed back up, and he said, "I need to talk to you." And I told him, I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "It shows here that in 1977, you had a bad car accident." I said, "Yes, sir, I did." I said, "I almost got killed in it. Matter of fact, I was supposed to have died. They didn't expect me to live." And he said, "Well, do you still have the pin in your right femur?" And I told him, I said, "Yes, sir, I do." And he said, went through the things that happened to me in the automobile accident, the different problems that I faced, and I told him, I said, yes, sir, I did have those issues, and I still have the pins in my body. And he told me, he said, well, due to all the accidents and the shrapnel that you have in your body, it's not going to be feasible for you to join the Navy SEALs. You've just got too many issues to start off with. And he said, so we're not even going to be able to, I really don't even think you should even try to join the military. And that was like jerking the rug out from under me, because my desire in life was to serve my country. And I really fell into a state of disillusion there for quite some time. And then the Army came after me, and they wanted me in the Army, and I said no. I said, I don't think I will. But then again, I was ready to change my mind, and I said, you know what? At the time, I was dating a young lady, and I told him, I said, I tell you what, I'm going to ask this young lady to marry me. If she says no, then I may join the Army. If she says yes, then no, I'm not joining the military. You know, what a way to make a decision, you know?
Yeah,
and
that shows you how much.
That shows you what a teenager knows, you know, and
yeah.
I mean, or a young adult at that point. And I went and asked her, and she said yes, and we got married, you know, and that was just not wise.
Yeah. So the teenage years, I guess, friends. Let's back up a little with the friends.
Yeah.
Now, the people I hung around with all were good, upstanding students. They were all, they didn't drink, they didn't smoke. We, when we were together, it was just sitting around talking, listening to records. We had a good time. My best friend and I spent a lot of time together listening to music and just talking. I wasn't into the party crowd. So I guess I was spared a lot of the heartache that some teenagers go through.
Yeah.
But when I started dating the guy that I married, the drinking was involved.
Yeah.
I didn't drink, but he did. And that was my first experience with drinking. And I was very, very shocked with the alcohol and what it does, but yet I still married. And that led me into a 30-year marriage of alcoholism.
Yeah, you never know. You know, with the friends you hang around, Wanda's right. I had a certain elite group of friends that I hung with, and high school years was kind of tough. You know, in junior high, I lost one of my best friends. I lost my best friend in junior high, and I got to high school. I lost 3 more in high school. We had been out riding around that night. You know, one of them, I came home, and he went home. Him and his parents had an argument. And he jumped in his vehicle and took off down the road, was killed right down the road, you know. And then another one flipped the car and was killed. Another one they don't know what happened. Just left the road, hit a light pole, and he got, you know, I don't know if he had a heart attack or what, and he got killed. And then, there's also another one. He got pancreatic cancer, and as soon as we graduated out of high school, right after high school, he passed away from pancreatic cancer. So it was actually 4 of them in high school. And since then, there was, I think there was 11. I want to say there was 11 of us all together, and there's only 3 of us left. You know, all the others have passed away, and that's, you know, picking your friends. You know, I hung with, they were good guys, mostly. Most of them weren't Christian. I'll say that. A couple of them were. The couple of ones that passed away were Christian boys. But, you know, I hung around with a lot of the wrong boys, and rough crowd. I wasn't very wise about choosing, you know, real good friends to hang around with when I was in my teenage years and in my young adult life. And as a result, I suffered a lot from that.
Yeah. I think during my high school year, we made it all the way through high school. We were, without losing anybody in our class, which was according to our teachers, very amazing.
That was amazing, yeah.
We did not lose anybody all in 4 years of high school. And 1 month after we graduated, one of my friends was skiing and hit a pier and was killed. And so I guess I made it through high school, but within a month we lost somebody.
Yeah. Those are the kind of things in life, though, that really make you grow up pretty quick.
Yeah.
You know, they really make you mature pretty fast. And, you know, I've actually buried a lot of people. And those are things that that kind of mold your life as to what you're going to be afterwards. You know, I know we're talking about financial decisions, but these are things that determine how you will make financial decisions, because the way you handle things in life, the course in life that you take as far as a job is concerned, because you got to realize when you get into high school and you graduate out of high school, you're at a point in your life where you have to make the most important decisions you'll probably ever make in your life. One is, what is my occupation going to be? Two, who is my mate going to be? Am I going to college? Am I going in the military? There's all these decisions that's thrown on top of you as a 18-year-old or 17-year-old. I graduated at 17. You know, a 17-year-old individual that really you don't have the mental capacity to make.
Yeah, and you make spur-of-the-moment decisions, and then you have to live with them. And I am thankful for my children. I love my children, but I made a spur-of-the-moment decision that caused me to end up being pregnant at 17, and then all your life changes. And going to school with morning sickness was like the hardest thing I've ever done. You've got to be in class at 8 o'clock, and 8 o'clock's not real good when you have morning sickness, and they're not wanting you to get up and run to the bathroom, so you have to try and fight it to get through a class. And as soon as that class is over, you're headed to the bathroom, and it was tough. I mean, granted, I only had about 6 weeks of class to finish, but it was fighting every day.
Not to mention how we were looked upon at that time.
Oh, we were looked on really bad about me being pregnant. That was like the ultimate sin. Not only did your family think you had just really messed up, but your friends were told not to hang with you. By that time, most of my friends did not even associate with me, even at school. You know, they talked to me briefly. It was like you were shunned. And so I lost a lot of friends the last couple of months of school. Being married and nobody else married. That was one of the toughest things.
That's tough. That is tough.
Yeah, because I was not the only one married at that point, but one of the very few, because nobody was getting married in high school. They waited till afterward.
Yeah.
So being married was a tough thing. And not only that, being married to an alcoholic and having to hide that and go to school and be around family and just keep a straight face and not let on to what was going on behind the scenes. That was tough.
Yeah, so, you know, teenage years going into the young adult life, the decisions you make in high school can stay with you, you know, for a long time. And me, just like Wanda, we were raised to believe that divorce was never an option. Yes. You know, if you made your bed, you had to lay in it. And
exactly.
And, you know, and just like Wanda, I made a spur-of-the-moment decision on the young lady that I married, and we were married 20 years, had beautiful kids, have no problem with that. It's just that after a period of years, we grew apart. And I really believe it's because we just didn't ever really start off right. You know, we did not know what love was, either one of us, to be honest with you. And
I think it
was more of an infatuation than I think it was anything else, you know?
And it's hard to explain to young people now to wait on God. but that's what Danny and I did this time. Both of us were so leery of dating again and getting involved with somebody. But as a teenager, man, you just want to be with somebody, and you fall in love with every person that shows you some attention. And being an adult looking back, I can see I wasn't in love with any of these people. Any of them I dated, and even the one I married, I was in love, but not the type of love Danny and I have. Exactly. It was more of an infatuation, and then it was, okay, I'm here in this situation, I make the best of it. And I did for 30 years. Yeah,
it all has to do with your upbringing. Yeah. And religion plays a big part in how you will spend your life based on your religious beliefs. Now, Wanda and I, because we've walked so many hard roads, we don't really ever condemn anyone's religion. No. That's something we don't do. I don't care if you're Baptist, Methodist, Presbyterian, Catholic, whatever.
Atheist,
I don't care if you're atheist, whatever. We have learned through the path of our life and different people we've worked with that we just learned to love everybody like Christ did, and that has helped us out, especially when it comes to making financial decisions. When you're not biased about people, because I know there was one time I went to the bank to borrow money, and I looked at the guy behind the counter and I said, "Oh my gosh, this guy's gay," and I know he is. And I said, "But you know what? That's okay, because I'm not here to judge him about his lifestyle. We're here to make a business deal, and Christ says I have to love everybody." And me and this guy actually carried on a conversation, and we actually ended up becoming real good friends, and come to find out he lived by me. And, so you can't let religious beliefs dictate your life to the point where you can't love someone because of their religion.
Yeah. And just mine was in high school, there were so many different, every kid is different.
Everybody's different.
And religion did not play a part in our associations with each other. And I guess religion really came into play more once I was married.
Once you become an adult.
Yeah, you're expected, because I knew that I was Baptist, and my friends knew that they were Catholic or Presbyterian or whatever. But when we were at school, that was not an option. We didn't talk about it. General conversation.
General conversation, yeah.
But no arguments, nothing. We got along as people. No. And, we always had group discussions. It was black, white, and all. We were all together, and we had discussions in class. And it was, I just remember not arguing about things. And that came in after I was an adult and after I was married, that the biases on my part as well started taking place because of my upbringing. I did start to develop biases, and I guess that's one of the things that we'll talk about next time is the young adult biases that we grew up with, and how things changed over the years to develop into who we are today.
Yeah. And two, I want to bring this before we close this thing down. As soon as high school was over with, during the era that I grew up in, my dad told me, he said, "Son, you're 18 years old now. You need to be moving out, because that's just the way it was. When you got to be 18, it's time to go. Daddy said, I raised you this far. I'm not going to keep raising you. You're old enough to be on your own." And I know this one probably didn't have a lot to say about financial independence, but your teen years in high school really determines a lot of the decisions you will make the rest of your life about how you start off in life. Do you struggle starting off? Does your parents step in and say, "Hey, here's a piece of property. let me help you out with this or let me help you out with that. I didn't have that. It don't sound like Wanda had that.
No, I didn't either.
Nobody gave us anything.
No,
So,
we were strictly on our own.
Strictly on our own. Nobody gave anybody anything. And back then, you had to work for whatever you got. And granted, stuff wasn't as expensive, but neither was the income. Incomes weren't there either.
No.
So, but we'll cover that in the next series. And I hope that y'all got a little bit of something out of this part of the teenage years. And I hope that if you're a younger person watching this, I hope that you'll really take into consideration what you want to do with your life, because at this point in life, you can really screw it up or you can really get ahead. And Wanda and I both made some bad decisions that cost us for many, many, many years of our life. We learned some hard lessons that we really should have known better about, but we knew everything at that age.
Oh, yeah.
And
we didn't want anybody telling us how to do things.
Exactly.
So if you're a teenager, I would say ask advice of somebody that you trust. If it's not your parents and you don't want to hear what your parents have to say and you think the parents are just being parents, which they are, go to a grandparent, a teacher, a preacher.
Find somebody who is successful at what they do.
Yes. And ask
Don't just take anybody's advice because they're an older person.
Yes.
Find someone who is extremely successful at what they do and get their advice, because that's what I did later in life, and we'll talk about that on the next video. I hope you've enjoyed this part of on our path to financial freedom, and if you leave your comments down below. Tell us a little bit about what happened in your life that maybe helped mold you in your later teenage years before you go into your young adult life. And we will see you on the next video. So thank you from Deep South Homestead.